David Harvey's book, The Condition of Postmodernity, examines how changes in society, culture, economy, and geography have shaped what we call postmodernity. Harvey is a geographer and Marxist thinker, so his main focus is on how capitalism and its crisis have influenced the rise of postmodern ideas. He argues that postmodernism is not just about art or philosophy, it is deeply connected to changes in how we work, live, and experience space under capitalism. The book connects ideas from cultural theory, history, economics, and urban development to show how modern society has changed since the 1970s. Harvey starts by explaining what postmodernism is. It is a cultural and intellectual movement that moves away from the certainty, order, and progress that defined modernism. Postmodernism is more playful, skeptical, fragmented, and pluralistic. It does not believe in one truth or one history made up of many compelling truths and shifting identities. In art, literature, and architecture, postmodernism often mixes styles and borrows from the past in ironic and creative ways. But Harvey argues that we cannot understand postmodernism without looking at how society and the economy have changed, especially under late capitalism. The first part of the book, titled Postmodernity in the City, looks at how changes in cities and urban life reflect larger cultural and economic shifts. Harvey says that good place to study these changes because urban spaces clearly show how economic power and social life are connected. In modernist cities, there was a focus on order, planning, and progress. But in postmodern cities, things became more fragmented and unpredictable. For example, in a modernist city, there might be a clear center and a well planned layout. In a postmodern city, there is more chaos, mixed use spaces, shopping malls, and a focus on image and style. Harvey shows that these changes are not just aesthetic, they come from deeper changes in how capitalism works. The second part, Modernity and Modernism, goes back in history to understand what modernism was. Harvey explains that modernism came out of the Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution. It believed in science, reason, and the idea that society could always improve. In art and culture, modernism often tried to break away from tradition and invent something new. Modernist artists and writers wanted to capture the fast changes of modern life through bold experimental forms. But Harvey also shows that modernism was closely tied to the rise of industrial capitalism, which brought big changes in labor, production, and urban life. The modernist belief in order and control matched the needs of early capitalists. In the third part, postmodernism, Harvey shows how postmodern ideas became more popular in the late 20th century. He discusses postmodern architecture, literature, art, and theory. Postmodernism rejects the idea of progress or a single truth. It accepts diversity, contradiction, and irony. Harvey looks at writers and theorists like Lyotard, who said that we no longer believe in grand narratives, that is, big stories that try to explain everything, and instead focus on smaller local stories. While some people celebrate modernism as more open and democratic, Harvey is more critical. He argues that postmodernism reflects the instability of capitalist society, especially after the economic crisis of 1970s. The fourth part, the condition of postmodernity, is the most important section. Harvey connects changes in culture and philosophy to changes in the economy. He says that in the 1970s, capitalism went through a major crisis. High inflation, unemployment, and oil shocks forced a shift from the old system of Fordism to a new system called flexible accumulation. Fordism was based on mass production, stable jobs, and big government projects. Flexible accumulation, by contrast, is based on short term work, global production chains, and rapid changes in technology and style. This new form of capitalism values flexibility, speed, and constant innovation. It produces a more unstable society where jobs, products, and identities are always changing. This shift in capitalism helps explain why postmodern, under flexible accumulation, companies use marketing and design to sell not just products but lifestyles and identities. Culture becomes a commodity, something to be sold. The focus on images, style, and surface in postmodernism fits with this new way of doing business. For example, a company does not just sell shoes, it sells a brand identity. Architecture is no longer about function but about creating eye catching spaces that attract consumers. The constant mixing of styles and culture mirrors the flexible, unstable nature of the new economy. Harvey also explains how this new capitalism reshapes space and time. In the past, space and time felt more stable. People lived in one place, worked in one job, and followed a clear path in life. But with globalization and digital technology, space and time feel compressed. We can travel far in a short time, communicate instantly across the world, and work in flexible temporary jobs. This time space compression creates a sense of confusion and that is reflected in postmodern culture. People feel disoriented but also more connected to a global world, which helps explain why identity, place, and community have become such important issues in postmodern thought. In the final chapters, Harvey looks at the political consequences of postmodernity. He is concerned that postmodernism, while offering new ways of thinking, can also be passive or even dangerous because postmodernism rejects big ideas and grand narratives. It sometimes refuses to imagine a better world or fight for social change. Harvey argues that we still need critical thinking and strong political movements to fight inequality and injustice. He believes that we can learn from both modernism and postmodernism, but we should not give up the hope for a more just and equal society. He calls for a return that understands how culture, economy, and geography are